That'd be great.
Okay, all right. I'll let you,
Okay, I can make it very, very short. And one of the things our office does at the end of each year, in December, February, is we're responsible for compiling legislation and the updating of the county code book. That's a fairly long process, but I noticed this year when it came through, it seemed like every page I was checking was the city of Salisbury. And apparently what has happened is the city of Salisbury made a substantial number of changes to its charter this year. And historically, what the county does is we publish in the code book the charters of all the municipalities in the town. I haven't seen the actual bill yet. That'll probably be another 30 days or so. But I imagine part of the biggest part of this year's bill for upgrading will be the municipality charter changes. We took a look at a couple of provisions, and we think probably with a minor change to part of the county code, we can eliminate the publication of at least some of the municipalities' charters. I know that Salisbury, I think Fruitland, maybe one or two of the others, they actually publish their codes anyway. So ours is just a duplicate publication. And essentially, my question is, does the council have any feeling? Council pays the bill for the for the charter revision. So I thought it appropriate to ask you if the council has any strong feelings one way or the other. If you do, we can look into the possibility of discontinuing publishing the municipal charters. Save a few dollars.
I mean, as soon as I first heard about it, I thought it was a great idea. And of course, from a legal perspective, there's no ramifications.
No, I think we may have to change one provision in our code that's in your brief book, deals with the adoption of the code, make a minor tweak to that, and then we could discontinue the publications.
Have you talked to the towns about this? I mean, do they have any?
No, I went and talked to the council first. As I say, I know that several of the towns, we go through what general code publishing, municipal code publishing publishes a lot of the towns. I could go through that and find out if all of them publish their own. I think the smaller ones like Sharptown and some of those probably don't publish. But we could take a look at that as well.
Where would you suggest we go from here?
If it's okay with you, we'll go ahead and do a little bit more research on it. We'll find out which towns already publish theirs, which don't. And then if ones don't, we would probably tweak the code so that we would still publish theirs, but discontinue the ones who are already paying to have theirs published in their separate book.
Sure. Okay, great. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Second item on the work session tonight is Public Works, adding Chapter 140 of the Wycomico County Code titled Erosion and Sediment Control. Weston Young, I've seen you out there, and John Redden. There you are. You guys, gentlemen, like to join us? Good evening.
Hello. Hey, evening.
See you both.
Hey, good to see you guys. So the state of Maryland is requiring all cities and counties, all municipalities to adopt an erosion and sediment control ordinance if they don't have one. And in the case of Wycomico County, the Soil Conservation District does our erosion and sediment control reviews. So when a plan comes in for development, we hand it over to them to do the review. So we've never really needed an ordinance in the past, but this is a state mandate. So with that, I'll pass it over to John for the specifics of the ordinance.
Sure. Well, the state, it's probably been close to 2 years ago, sent out the notification that they wanted every county to have a sediment control ordinance. And we've been working on it, but they haven't been pushing it. So we kind of took it not as a front burner, but as a back burner project. But we worked with law, and we've got it set up. They actually gave us a model ordinance, fill in the blanks, you know. Ours is a little unique because, well, I guess every county is a little bit different. Some actually do the sediment control themselves, that the county does, some the state does, and then some it's kind of a mix. So in Wycomico County, we're pretty much just, we tweaked it so that it pretty much represented what we're doing currently. We're not changing anything. So pretty much, it mentions stormwater management, that again, the sediment control has to be in line with the stormwater management. We will continue to do that in Public Works. It mentions no building permit can be issued until sediment control and stormwater management is approved. So soil conservation will continue doing sediment control, and planning and zoning will continue doing building permits. So it's outlined how this all works together, so there's really no changes. It's just pretty much having an ordinance that says what we've been doing, so.
So is the state still gonna be doing the monitoring for the?
Yes, the
soil and erosion
inspections,
control? Okay.
yes. We still would
We're
do
not-
inspections of stormwater management.
Right.
They would do inspections of sediment control, so.
Okay.
John, you said pretty much, and pretty much scares me. Okay. Pretty much means that something is not included or
Boy, you're pretty
was not
observant.
included.
I'll tell you the one thing that I changed in
Okay.
there is, the way it's been is, building permits are good for 3 years. Stormwater management approvals are good for 3 years. Sediment control approvals are good for 2 years. I took this opportunity to make it 3, so they all are consistent.
Is
That's
that
not the way the model ordinance said, but I thought this was a good time to have it consistent,
Is
so.
that the only?
That's the only thing, the rest is just,
major,
Wycomico
pretty much-
County's name is in there, and, you know.
So we can't really loosen what the state wants, like for fire departments, any sort of, nonprofit organizations, anything like that.
Agriculture.
There are exemptions in here, but they're the same exemptions that they always have, yeah. In fact, agricultural land management, not the structures, but the, yeah, so, right.
Slide check.
Yeah, no, it was
Yeah, in most
appropriate
cases,
timing.
they allow us to be more stringent than their regulations, but we're doing what, the bare minimum, basically.
Right.
Yeah, and I would put out, this is a new first for me. Generally speaking, the local jurisdiction can't pass a law to make a state agency do something. And here they are telling us to pass a law to let them do what they've always been doing,
Right.
which is what we've done. So I mean, it's a law in our code, but
Yeah.
they're the enforcement.
I think they were hoping that we would take it over, but I don't know that we're looking for,
Yeah, this
New things
ordinance
to
makes
do.
more sense if we were doing the
Doing it
erosion
right.
sediment control in-house, because it tells us how to do it, but where we still toss it back to them, they're just trying to fit us in their square hole.
right,
I see reps from the,
soil
soil
conservation district.
conservation here.
Right.
You guys are fine with this? I mean, no comment.
It's pretty much, what we saw is pretty much what's been going on.
Okay.
Everything's pretty much
Okay. Good.
Any other questions or comments? Gentlemen, appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
I was gonna say, would it be appropriate to bring it back for introduction next meeting then?
yes.
Thank you. Yeah, I think the agenda will allow for that, Ed. The last item on the agenda is, I wanted to just resume discussion on, especially more so to actually plan the scheduling for the school board discussion again, bring that forward. As you know, when we put it forth to Annapolis the last time, they kicked it back and saying, of course, we want public hearing. So any comments or questions, input as far as where you'd like to see us going from here?
We're gonna set up a schedule and we have public hearings in the community then, that,
There have been numerous suggestions that have been made. We could do a couple of things. One comment has been to have 5 different public hearings, one in each district. I believe initially we had discussed about having 3. As you know, Jim Mathias had stated, well, John, we want to see 3 public
at
hearings.
least 3, right?
Somewhat of an arbitrary figure, but I can, that's okay. I can live with that. So I would like to do that. Honestly, I think if you had 5, by the time you got to the 4th or 5th one, you might have 3 people show up.
So that redistricting, getting new, when we were talking about redistricting, didn't,
That lasted one meeting.
Yeah, less than one meeting.
one meeting.
Right. So I guess the question would be how council wants to do this, whether you want to do it in chambers, whether you think we should do it in the Denang Room at the Wycomico Youth and Civic Center. I'm assuming we want to go ahead with, what, 3?
Sure.
Frankly, I'd like to see it in different areas.
Did
of
we have to
the,
spread them out? I mean, was that his intention, that we spread it out throughout the
I think
Yeah.
that was
County, yeah, I'd like to see it.
somewhat implied. I mean, it's hard to say exactly.
firehouses?
That was the idea, was to spread it out. The only difference being is that I don't think, it may not be as easy for PAC 14 to record it as it would be if we were denying it could be recorded very easily. They already are set up.
Yeah.
And it could get out to the public, I think, in a much easier fashion.
We could at least do one there.
Yeah. Well, and we just gave PAC 14 some new money in the budget, so, you know, they can meet us halfway, so. I'm excited.
I'm afraid I agree with Mark on that.
First time tonight, all right.
It took an hour and a half.
I'm leaving. Going out on a high note. Yeah, I mean, I've heard, you know, the folks in Del Mar are interested in this, you know, I mean, you know, they seem to have had a large turnout in, was it Parsons, Pittsville? For school meeting in the past. So, you know, I mean, there's certain places that we know there's interest in school issues. At the very least, we should go out to those places where we know that people have been,
Passionate about it.
passionate before, yeah. So.
Mr. Cannon, I could contact PAC 14 tomorrow and see, I know they do shows out in the community, to see how easy it would be for them to tape something and let us know.
Okay.
I can do that tomorrow.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's gonna be a matter of coordinating the public and PAC 14 at the same time.
Well, I mean, even if we don't do it till September, I mean, we can't really, you know, during the summer, there's not really much interest in much around here. You know, it seems everybody's kind of gone, so I mean, if we waited till September, it seems like we might be able to have some.
Well, I'd like to have this wrapped up, I'd really like to have this wrapped up by the 1st of November, the first meeting in November. I'd like to be able to move this.
You might not want to do that earlier in order to get the early drop on this bill to go, and I'm sorry Carl's gone, but they start dropping bills by September now.
Is that right?
Yeah. And that's why our legislative meeting we scheduled for June 22nd.
Yeah.
You know, so I think we want to get it done this summer.
Do you think we also need, you know, we'll have the public hearings, but what about focus group? You know, for Education Association and, I mean, can we get all the information we need from the public hearings, do you guys think?
Well, that's a good idea, I think, Matt, where, you know, if we do have focus groups that have some type of provision or plan that they'd like to see move forward, if we could set up maybe a schedule that we'd have a hearing in here just to address the focus groups.
Or work session,
Or
Work
work
session.
session.
Yeah.
Work session.
and individual from each group.
Present their plan.
You know.
We'll be allowed to speak at the work session.
Yeah, maybe.
So they can all come and present their plan, each one of the focus
So who would
groups.
you recommend for, as far as focus groups? Anybody can speak up, you know.
Anybody who's interested?
Yeah, anyone that's got a group that's out there, come
Any
to the meeting.
specifics? I mean, we know, the WCEA would certainly be, they've mentioned already that they want to be a part of this.
Right.
Well, I think maybe we'd want to have people contact us ahead of time and say that we have an idea that should be part of it. I mean, not just maybe a free-for-all, but that maybe be more focused. 'Cause obviously, WCEA has something that you want to say. Obviously, you know, the NAACP is obviously interested in this. So, you know, there's some groups we know for sure have opinions on what should be out there. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know if any, you know, a free-for-all saying, hey, we need to do this, we need to do that. I mean, that might not be, that's probably more of a public hearing sort of thing.
Well, I guess my question would be, what type of outreach are we going to initiate? Wayne, are you familiar, because I know that we did focus groups, we did the 3 nights at the Civic Center when it first came up with tier maps and the watershed implementation plan.
Yeah, I mean, we've done a number of focus groups.
How did we reach out to the individuals? How do we collect those names and those organizations?
The tier map was an invite from the executive, really, to
Yeah, I
target.
mean, we just
yeah.
really,
Just brainstorm.
I mean,
which
to be
ones
honest,
do.
we just brainstormed with, you know, what organizations and what individuals we felt would, A, bring expertise, and B, bring differing perspectives to the table, because we wanted, for lack of any better term, you know, some dynamic tension where you knew that you were gonna have differing viewpoints so that you could flesh things out. The other thing I would say to you, John, is that think if you're going to go into communities, and I think that's a very, very good idea, I think you should go into each district, because I believe you'll open yourself up to criticism if you go into some districts and not other districts. So I would encourage you to go into, if it were me, I'd have a couple of general work sessions, but then I would give each district the opportunity to meet at a firehouse, a school, whatever, and have those discussions. Otherwise, I think it's gonna be seen as somewhat biased in terms of where you went and where you didn't go.
We'll just knock them all out in 1 week, 5 nights in a row.
Could we ask Carl, I mean, because that obviously would take more time, could we ask
Yeah,
Carl?
Carl.
Yeah, Carl,
What do you think, Carl?
for pre-filing a bill, when do you need something?
As long as we have, we can file in January, I mean,
That'll be-
yeah,
Well,
we can file it in January, we can file it in November,
November?
December, you know.
We'll keep November as our
That gives
deadline.
you a lot
I would say
Oh,
November.
yeah,
Plenty of time.
plenty of time.
All right, we'll put November as a deadline. We'll do that. 5 districts?
Sounds good.
5 districts.
Nothing else?
We start out with, what would you suggest? Do we start out planning the public hearings? Do we do a couple of work sessions with focus groups? Where are we going first?
I think we do the work sessions, focus groups
Focus
first,
groups,
and
yeah.
come up with maybe some general idea of kind of where,
What we
what
want.
we're thinking, and then we
Would
get public input on
would
it.
they be here? Focus
In
groups here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you just kind of have a work session, yeah, I mean, you know, that would seem to be the best. I'm not sure that we need to do the type of focus group that you did with the tier map, I mean, that was intensive.
Very
sort of-
extensive, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's similar to what Gary had said earlier, is that, we have to take into consideration all the options. And I think that maybe before we go to the public hearing, I would like to be, even at the public hearing, to present at the public hearing what the
That's right.
considered options might be.
Yeah.
Nothing, not that we've made up our
Right.
minds, but I mean, we do know that there's some options, whether you have 7 with 5 elected, 2 appointed by the executive or 2 appointed by the governor, whether you do 5 only.
Well, when we do the hearings, you go ahead and make the options available with the.
Exactly. At the public
In
hearing,
the
we have
different
maybe,
districts.
we have maybe a board up there where people can see
Right.
what the choices are.
Well, I mean, it's not only that, it's also, what do you do when, who fills vacancies? Do you stagger the terms? I mean, there's a lot, as we found when we were doing this, I mean, there's a lot that goes into, there's a lot of details in this. And if we want to have a bill for referendum, those are the sort of details that, we need to work out ahead of time, and that Senator Mathias expressed he would like us to come to more of a consensus on ahead of time. So, I mean, it's not even just hybrid versus elected, it's, the executive fill the vacancies, with the governor fill the vacancies, or they stay, all that kind of stuff is, there's probably a difference of opinion on among all the interested parties, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, you're right, because we do have 2 things we have to worry about. We have to worry about the wording for the bill for Annapolis. And then we have to be concerned about what actually is going to go on the referendum,
On the ballot,
on the ballot.
yeah.
It'd be nice to get a clarification. Mark, you had pointed out before that a choice of 3 is an initiative and it's not a referendum, I believe.
Well, I mean, a referendum's a yes or no vote, is that
Right.
correct, Mr. I mean, you can't say yes on this, or yes on this, or yes on this, it's yes on this bill that's been passed by the legislature.
Right.
So you'd have to, it's either this option or no option.
Which is a choice of 1 of 2 only.
And if you have a straw poll, you can do as many as you want, but that then pushes us back.
Well, I mean, you need to talk to legislators about that. They thought about doing that the last time, and it wouldn't fly.
Well, that was a non-binding straw poll about what are your preference, and then we'd have to go back, and they would write legislation based on that preference, so.
Senator Mathias had actually gotten on the phone while I was talking to him and contacted somebody from Board of Elections, I don't know who it was, and said, can we do 3? Can we pick 1 of 3, like multiple choice? And they said, yes, you can do that.
I don't think it'd be binding then, I mean, we'd have to get that
All right.
clarified, yeah.
Is there, what's the best way for us to pursue that?
It was just my recollection is that they didn't want to do, the legislators didn't want to do 3 last time. So
We never got that far.
I think Carl has at his disposal some experts at legislation and what exactly can be done there in Annapolis, that he could probably get us an answer.
Okay. I mean, I don't think we'd want to go beyond 3, period. It's, yes. I mean, it's our responsibility to filter most of the suggestions and to come up with a consensus on what we feel is the best alternative. I would love to see just 2. But just as an option, Carl, it'd be great if you could do that for us.
If you wouldn't mind.
We'll be up there tomorrow.
Great, wonderful.
Less confusion.
Yes. Any other input, things that maybe we need to
Sounds good.
consider? All right. And I'll try to put together some type of a timetable on what's going to be the best process.
Yeah, I think sooner.
All right. With that being said, that concludes our work session.